Over the past 8 months, Emily had been feeling increasingly unwell. At first, it was just a slight nausea, a discomfort that she could brush off. However, as time went on, the symptoms worsened. The constant queasiness in her stomach became unbearable, making it difficult for her to focus on even the simplest of tasks. Her husband, Arthur, had noticed her pale complexion and the exhaustion that seemed to drain her energy, but he couldn't understand why she didn't feel better. He suggested that she take some time off work or see a doctor, but Emily dismissed it. It's just stress, she had told him. But one afternoon everything changed. Emily was cleaning the house when a wave of dizziness washed over her. The nausea hit like a tidal wave, and before she could react, she collapsed onto the floor, unconscious. When Emily regained consciousness, she found herself in a hospital bed. Her head was pounding and she felt weak, but the most overwhelming emotion was confusion. How had she ended up here? What had happened? A doctor walked into the room, his expression grave. He looked at her medical chart and then back at her, speaking slowly. "Miss Emily, the tests show that you've been poisoned." Poisoned. The word echoed in Emily's mind, but she couldn't understand. Who would want to hurt her? How could this happen? As the doctor continued explaining her condition, a disturbing thought crossed her mind. The herbal teas. For the past few months, Emily's mother-in-law, Donna, had been insisting she drink certain teas, claiming they would help with her stomach problems. Donna had always been overly concerned about Emily's health, constantly offering remedies and home cures, but Emily had never suspected anything sinister. But now everything seemed to make sense. Teas. They had started right around the time Emily's symptoms began. The thought of it made her stomach churn. Was it possible that Donna had been poisoning her all this time? Emily knew she needed to confront Donna. She had to find out the truth, no matter how painful it might be. But she also knew it wouldn't be easy. Arthur would never believe it. He had always been close to his mother and would probably defend her, no matter what. Emily's mind raced with the possibilities, and yet, deep down, she felt the crushing weight of betrayal. The next day, after being discharged from the hospital, Emily felt a mix of exhaustion and confusion. She tried to make sense of what had happened, but her mind kept returning to the same unsettling question. Could her mother-in-law, Donna, really be behind all this? Emily spent the evening lying in bed, thinking about the times Donna had insisted on giving her the teas. At first, she had accepted them out of politeness, but the more she drank, the worse her symptoms became. Could it really be that simple? Was Donna poisoning her slowly, one cup at a time? Arthur, unaware of the gravity of the situation, tried to comfort Emily. "You need to rest, Em. You've been through a lot. Let's take a few days off and forget about all of this." But Emily couldn't forget. Something deep inside her told her that Donna was hiding something dangerous. She had to know for sure, but she didn't know where to start. The next evening, Emily decided to confront Donna. She knew it wouldn't be easy, especially with Arthur being so protective of his mother. But this was something that couldn't be ignored. She had to face the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Donna arrived at their house as usual, her smile wide and welcoming. "How are you feeling today, dear?" she asked, her tone warm but carrying an underlying edge. Emily had rehearsed what she wanted to say in her mind, but now that Donna was standing in front of her, it was harder than she thought. "I'm feeling a little better," Emily replied, forcing a smile. "But we need to talk." Donna's smile faltered for just a moment, but it quickly returned, though now it looked more forced. "Course, darling. What's on your mind?" Emily took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "I've been thinking a lot about those teas you've been giving me," she said slowly. "The doctor told me I've been poisoned, and I'm starting to wonder if you've been the one giving me something harmful." Donna's face paled, and Emily saw her visibly tense up. "What are you talking about?" Donna stammered, her voice cracking. "I would never hurt you, Emily." But Emily wasn't convinced. "You've been giving me those teas for months, and now I'm in the hospital. The doctor says I've been poisoned. How do you explain that?" Donna shifted nervously, avoiding Emily's gaze. I don't know what you're talking about. You're just upset, that's all. Maybe you misheard the doctor. Poison. That's ridiculous. Emily could see Donna's hands shaking slightly. The guilt was obvious, but Donna was doing her best to hide it. Emily's suspicion had only deepened. She was right to trust her instincts. Why are you lying, Donna? Emily pressed, her voice growing firmer. I'm not going to let this go. Donna's face twisted with frustration as she struggled to find the right words. But instead of speaking, she turned quickly and rushed out the door, leaving Emily standing there, heart pounding. It was clear now. Donna was hiding something. Emily had to find out what, and she knew that this wasn't over. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. After Donna had stormed out of their house that evening, Emily knew it was time to take matters into her own hands. The uncertainty was eating her alive, and she couldn't allow herself to live in the shadows of doubt any longer. The next morning, Emily woke up early, determined to confront Donna once again. Arthur had gone to work, so she had some time to think things through. She couldn't let her mother-in-law's evasiveness slide any longer, especially after the unsettling scene the night before. Emily grabbed her phone and called a private investigator. She didn't want to confront Donna without knowing the truth. The investigator promised to look into the matter discreetly and gather information. While she waited for answers, Emily decided to investigate the teas on her own. She took a few empty tea bags that Donna had given her, hoping they might reveal something. Armed with her knowledge from a few online searches, Emily began looking into the herbs Donna had used. It didn't take long before she found a connection. One of the herbs, though commonly used in small quantities for medicinal purposes, could be harmful when consumed in excess. In fact, it could cause serious stomach issues and, in severe cases, poisoning. Emily's hands trembled as she read the articles. She was right. Donna had been using a toxic herb in the teas. But why? Later that afternoon, the private investigator called Emily. "I found something interesting," he said. "It seems that your mother-in-law has a history of offering healing remedies to others, but I couldn't find any record of her having any formal knowledge of herbal medicine. There's something strange going on here." Emily's heart raced. It was all starting to make sense now. Donna's obsession with Emily's health, the constant insistence on the teas. It was all part of something darker. That evening, when Donna came to visit again, Emily was ready. She had to confront her, and this time she wouldn't back down. Donna knocked softly on the door, her usual smile in place, though Emily could see the tension in her eyes. "Emily, how are you feeling today?" Donna asked, trying to sound casual. "I'm feeling much better," Emily replied coldly, her eyes narrowing. "But I know what you've been doing, Donna. I know you've been poisoning me with those teas." Donna's face went white. She took a step back, but Emily advanced. "Don't lie to me anymore. I've done my research, and I've spoken to a private investigator. I know about the herbs you've been using, and I know you've been giving them to me with the intent to harm me." Donna stammered, her lips trembling. I didn't mean for it to go this far, Emily. I only wanted to help you. I thought it would make you better." Emily was stunned by the admission. "Help me." "By poisoning me," she whispered. The realization that Donna had been trying to hurt her in the name of helping was more than Emily could bear. "I had to stop you," Donna continued, her voice shaky. "Arthur was always so focused on you, and I was afraid you'd take him away from me. I thought if I could make you sick, he'd pay more attention to me. But it got out of hand, and I'm so sorry. I never meant for you to actually get hurt." Emily could hardly believe what she was hearing. Her mind raced with thoughts of betrayal, but there was no time for weakness. She needed to make sure Donna would face the consequences for what she had done. "I'm calling the police," Emily said firmly, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "You're going to answer for this." Donna's eyes filled with tears, but Emily wasn't moved. The damage had already been done. The police arrived at Emily's house within the hour, responding quickly to her call. Donna was still there, her face pale and eyes wide with fear. Emily had never felt such a sense of clarity and strength. The lies were finally being exposed, and the truth was coming to light. She didn't have to suffer in silence anymore. As the police officers questioned Donna, Emily stood in the background, watching the scene unfold. The gravity of the situation began to hit her fully. Donna had been poisoning her for months. For all the time she had been kind to her, all the moments she had tried to build a relationship with her, she was now faced with the reality that the woman she called family had been plotting her downfall. "Donna, I have every right to be angry," Emily said firmly. Her voice no longer filled with doubt but with cold determination. "What you did was wrong, and you need to face the consequences." Donna, shaking uncontrollably, was escorted by the officers to the car. She didn't resist, but she couldn't hide the shame on her face. Emily could see it clearly now. Donna had done this out of jealousy, out of an unhealthy obsession with keeping her son to herself. After Donna was taken away, Emily collapsed onto the couch, exhausted but relieved. She couldn't stop replaying everything that had happened, from the first cup of tea to the moment she discovered the truth. The road to recovery would be long, but she felt a sense of justice. Donna would no longer be able to harm her, and the peace she had been searching for was finally within reach. Arthur came home later that evening. His face went pale when he saw the police car outside. "What happened?" he asked, rushing toward Emily. "It's over, Arthur," Emily replied, standing up to face him. "Your mother. She's been poisoning me for months. I had to call the police." Arthur's jaw dropped, and he stood there speechless for a few moments. "I can't believe this. Why would she do that?" Emily sighed, trying to hold back tears. "'Cause she was jealous. She couldn't stand the idea of me being close to you. She thought if she made me sick, you'd take care of her more." Arthur was silent for a moment, the weight of his mother's betrayal sinking in. "I don't know what to say, Emily. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. I never knew she was capable of something like this." "I know you didn't," Emily said, placing a hand on his arm. "But now we know the truth, and it's time for us to move forward. Together." With Donna now in custody, Emily finally felt like she could breathe again. She didn't have to worry about hidden dangers, about waking up every day not knowing if she'd make it through. The nightmare was over. The days that followed were difficult, but Emily was stronger than she had been before. She began to regain her health, slowly but surely. Each day felt like a victory, and with each small step forward, Emily could finally start to rebuild her life. In the weeks that followed, Emily's life began to slowly return to normal. She had spent so much time worrying about her health, about the deceit that surrounded her, and about the man she loved. But now, with Donna behind bars, she could finally begin to focus on herself and her relationship with Arthur. Arthur, too, was shaken by the events. It was clear that the betrayal by his own mother had left deep scars. But he was determined to be a better husband to Emily, to make up for the time he had missed while being oblivious to the danger she had been in. One evening, after a quiet dinner at home, Arthur turned to Emily. "I've been thinking a lot," he said softly. "I don't want to live with regrets. I've seen how strong you are, how much you've endured. I'm sorry for not noticing what was happening sooner." Emily reached across the table, taking his hand in hers. "Arthur, you didn't know. I never blamed you for that. I'm just glad it's over." Arthur nodded, his face serious. "I want to make sure you're happy, Emily. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. We'll rebuild what we have, step by step, and leave all the darkness behind us." As Emily looked into his eyes, she felt a sense of peace. The past was behind them now. They had survived, and the future seemed brighter than ever before. Meanwhile, Donna's trial was fast approaching. The evidence against her was undeniable, and the public was shocked by the extent of her actions. The courtroom was filled with reporters, and Emily knew that the woman who had caused her so much pain would soon face the consequences. But despite everything Donna had done to her, Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness for her. Donna had been a woman consumed by jealousy, insecurity, and a need for control. In the end, that had driven her to destroy the very people she should have loved and protected. On the day of the trial, Emily sat in the courtroom, a sense of closure settling over her. Donna had pleaded guilty to attempted poisoning, and the sentence was severe. She would be incarcerated for several years, with no chance of parole for a long time. As the gavel came down, signaling the end of the trial, Emily allowed herself to exhale. It was over. Donna's hold on her life, on her family, was finally broken. Later that evening, as Emily and Arthur sat on their porch, watching the sun set, Emily felt a weight lift off her shoulders. "It's finally over," she said softly. Arthur squeezed her hand. "Yes, it is. And now we can move on without any more fear, without any more secrets. We have each other, and that's what matters." Emily smiled, feeling the warmth of his hand in hers. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but for the first time in months, she was ready to face them with strength and love by her side. With Donna's trial behind them and a sense of peace settling into their home, Emily and Arthur slowly began to rebuild their lives. The shadow of Donna's betrayal still lingered, but it was no longer the center of their world. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt like she could breathe freely, no longer burdened by the constant fear of what might come next. Arthur was doing his best to make up for the time he had lost. He was more attentive, more present. They began spending their evenings together, talking about everything and nothing, sharing the dreams they had put aside for so long. One afternoon, as Emily and Arthur sat on their porch enjoying the warm breeze, Emily turned to him. "Arthur, I've been thinking. We've been through so much, and I feel like I've been holding on to a lot of anger and fear. But I want to let go of that. I want to move forward, not just for me, but for us." Arthur took her hand, his expression softening. "I've been thinking the same thing. We can't keep letting the past define us. We've been given a second chance, Emily. And I want to make the most of it." They talked for hours, discussing their future, their plans, and the changes they wanted to make. The weight of the past was still heavy at times, but there was hope in the way they looked at each other, a shared understanding that the worst was behind them. A few weeks later, Emily received a letter from Donna. It was brief, but its words were heavy. Donna apologized for what she had done, acknowledging her actions and admitting that jealousy and control had consumed her. Emily wasn't sure what to make of the letter. It wasn't an apology she could easily accept, but it was a start, and for that she was thankful. "You know, I never thought I'd hear from her again," Emily said one evening, showing Arthur the letter. "I don't know if it's genuine, but it feels like she's finally realizing the damage she caused." Arthur looked at the letter, his jaw tightening. "It doesn't change what she did to you, Emily. And it doesn't change how much pain she caused. But if she's sorry, then that's all she can offer now." Emily nodded. "You're right. I don't need to hold on to the anger anymore. I'm not going to forgive her easily, but I can move forward. I don't want that darkness in my life anymore." As the days turned into weeks, Emily's health continued to improve. She started going out more, meeting friends, and rediscovering the joy in the small things. She felt more like herself than she had in months. And as she looked at Arthur, she realized how much they had both changed. They had been through the storm, and now they were stronger, more united than ever before. Though the scars of the past would always remain, Emily knew that she had the power to move forward, to build a future filled with love, trust, and peace. And with Arthur by her side, she was ready for whatever the future would bring. Months passed, and life began to feel more normal again. Emily and Arthur had rebuilt their foundation, their bond stronger than ever before. The pain of the past, the deception and betrayal, had faded into the background. They both knew they would carry the lessons from those difficult times with them, but now it was time to embrace the future. One evening, as they sat in the living room, enjoying a quiet moment together, Emily spoke up. "Arthur, I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened. I've spent so much time focused on the darkness, but I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to focus on the good things, on what really matters." Arthur, who had always been attentive to her needs, nodded in agreement. "I feel the same way. We've been through a lot, but I don't want our lives to be defined by what happened with Donna. I want to focus on us, on our happiness." That's what I care about now. They shared a smile, a look of mutual understanding. It was clear to both of them that they had come through the storm together and emerged stronger. They were no longer haunted by the fears and doubts that had plagued them for so long. Now they were ready to move forward together. A few days later, Emily surprised Arthur with a small vacation. They went to a quiet coastal town, far away from the memories of their troubled past. It was a chance for them to reconnect, to enjoy each other's company without any distractions. The trip was peaceful, and they spent their days exploring the town, talking and laughing. It was a perfect escape. As they sat by the ocean one evening, watching the sun set, Emily looked at Arthur with a contented smile. "This feels like a new beginning, don't you think?" Arthur nodded, his arm around her. "Does. Feels like we're finally free from all the baggage. We've been through so much, and now we can focus on the future. We can build the life we've always wanted." Emily squeezed his hand, feeling a sense of gratitude wash over her. She had learned so much through the trials she had faced, but most of all, she had learned the importance of resilience, of trusting herself, and of the love that had endured even in the darkest moments. As they returned home, their lives slowly began to settle into a peaceful routine. Emily and Arthur continued to grow closer, and their love deepened. They built new memories, focused on their shared goals, and supported each other through life's inevitable ups and downs. Though the past would never be entirely forgotten, they had learned to let go of the pain, and they had learned that true happiness could only come from within. Together, Emily and Arthur had built something beautiful, something that no one could take away from them. They had found their way back to each other, and in doing so, they had found their way back to themselves. And so, as the days turned into months and years, Emily knew that she was stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever the future had in store. She and Arthur were no longer victims of their circumstances. They were partners, united by love, and ready to face the world together.